Ever feel like you're just constantly juggling, a dozen different balls up in the air, career, family, money, health, and it feels like no matter how fast you move, some of them are just gonna drop. It's inevitable. Maybe that looks like weeks of terrible sleep, or grabbing fast food instead of making a meal, or you find yourself procrastinating, doing little easy tasks instead of the deep work that actually matters. It's that feeling, right? Totally overwhelmed, like your brain has 20 tabs open, all draining your battery. But what if? What if you could simplify that? Reduce the chaos, find a bit more peace.
That's exactly what we want to dive into today. We're looking at healthy organization habits. And not just, tidying your desk or making a list, though that's part of it. We're talking about a framework, almost a system that can really profoundly impact your mental, physical, and emotional health. Look, this isn't about becoming perfectly organized overnight. That's not realistic. It's more about building sustainable systems, ways to turn that everyday chaos into a sense of calm, so you can actually live more fully, stress less, and enjoy what's really important.
Yeah, you can definitely see how dropping those balls leads to real problems, like when you're constantly pushing yourself too hard at work, right past burnout, or you keep skipping basic self-care like decent sleep or eating properly. The long-term effects really stack up.
They really do.
It's not just feeling tired, is it? It becomes this kind of downward spiral, constant stress, fatigue, just feeling run down, like you're stuck.
And the psychological side of this is fascinating. I mean, our physical space often reflects our headspace, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your desk looks like a disaster zone or your computer desktop is just chaos, that clutter often translates internally, mentally. We talk about these things called open loops, all those little unfinished tasks, thoughts you haven't dealt with, things nagging at the back of your mind.
Constantly buzzing.
Exactly. They're always there, demanding a bit of attention, whether you want them to or not. And that leads straight to mental overload and decision fatigue, having to consciously think about every single little thing. You're always on, always vigilant, totally exhausting.
Yeah.
And eventually, it shows up as serious stress, burnout, that deep feeling of lethargy.
Okay, but there's good news here, right? We don't have to just keep juggling and hoping for the best. The solution, or maybe the starting point, is in the basics, our daily habits and routines.
Yes.
Building a kind of structure, a framework to get things in order so you can stop just reacting all the time.
Absolutely. The power of habits is just immense.
Yeah.
James Clear, Atomic Habits, he says, ultimately, your habits matter because they help you become the type of person you wish to be. Quite literally, you become your habits. When you string good habits together into a routine, you stop relying on motivation, which, let's face it, comes and goes. It just leaves less room for putting things off or getting distracted. And for mental health, routines are huge. First off, they really cut down on stress. Having a routine simplifies things. It gives you clarity, focus, that predictability, waking up, meals, maybe a water. It's like a calming anchor in the day. It reduces that feeling of overwhelm. And it also, crucially, saves your mental energy. That decision fatigue we mentioned.
Right, the brain battery.
Exactly. Routines automate those small daily choices. So you've got more brain power left for the big stuff, the important work, creative thinking. It kind of compounds over time. Second, you usually see better sleep and just better physical health overall. When you have consistent times for sleep, meals, exercise, it creates this positive cycle. Good sleep boosts your mood, your concentration. Your body recovers. And being active actually helps you sleep better, so it feeds itself. Third, better productivity and focus. When you automate self-care and basic tasks, you free up that mental bandwidth. Imagine starting your day, maybe meditating or stretching almost on autopilot. You've already achieved something positive. It boosts your confidence, sets a good foundation before you even tackle your main work. And finally, routines help you actually do self-care. When you intentionally schedule small things, a walk, journaling, yoga, calling a friend, you're less likely to skip them when life gets crazy busy.
Because it's just part of the plan.
Exactly. And those small wins, especially early in the day, they lift your mood and make you feel more capable of handling challenges later on. Now, when it comes to making a routine, the absolute key is start small.
Right.
Really small. Pick just one or two habits that actually appeal to you. Build from there, slowly. And please, don't try to force yourself into someone else's routine, like those 5 a.m. wake-up calls if you're naturally a night owl.
Yeah, that never works long term.
It doesn't. Work with your nature. If you hate ironing, buy clothes that don't need it. If the gym feels like torture, find a hiking group or dance class. The path of least resistance is usually the one you'll stick with.
Good point.
And remember, flexibility is key. Life happens, things change. Your routine needs to adapt. Don't feel like a failure if you deviate. It's an ongoing adjustment, not a rigid prison.
Okay, so habits give us consistency, but then there's just the sheer amount of stuff in modern life. Emails, demands, projects, information overload. Even with a good morning routine, you can still feel like you're drowning. So how do we tackle that complexity itself, the feeling of just having too much on our plate?
Right, that's where strategic simplification comes into play. And a huge part of that is planning ahead. Seriously, don't try to keep everything swirling around in your head. Your brain's got enough to do.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. But try setting aside a specific time, maybe an hour a week, Friday afternoon, Monday morning, whatever works. Use that time to map out the week, plan your days. Get all those ideas, tasks, lists out of your head and onto paper or into an app. It offloads the burden, stops things falling through the cracks. Even small stuff like laundry or cleaning those add up to that open loop stress.
Yeah, they really do nag at you.
And then the big one, declutter and simplify. The whole less is more idea. To feel organized, you need clear space physically, digitally, and mentally. This is where minimalism can be a really useful tool. And again, it's not about depriving yourself. It's about being intentional, getting rid of the excess so you can focus on what actually brings you joy or fulfillment or just freedom.
Making conscious choices about what surrounds you.
Precisely, which frees up your attention, your mental energy, and psychologically, the benefits are pretty profound. A clearer space outside often leads to less anxiety, less stress inside. Gives you a sense of control, of order, competence even.
I can see that.
Minimalism creates this valuable mental space, room for clearer thinking, more focus, maybe more reflection on your values, and ultimately, it often leads to more positive feelings, more peace, more contentment. It clears out the mental static. Okay, so how do you actually do it?
Yeah.
Actionable steps. Start small. One drawer, one shelf, one corner of a room.
Not the whole house at once.
Definitely not. Maybe tackle your closet or the kitchen counter. And really appreciate what you decide to keep. You know, Marie Kondo's Does It Spark Joy? Question.
Sure.
You can kind of apply that broadly, even to your to-do list. Does this task spark purpose as it move things forward? Try building in tiny decluttering habits daily. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Have designated spots for essential items, keys, phone, chargers. You're not constantly searching.
And the frantic key search.
Yes, we've all been there. Digitize paperwork where you can. Get rid of duplicates, seriously. How many spatulas do you need?
Uh-oh. Maybe 3 is too many.
Maybe. And think about repairing or reusing things before replacing them. It's good for your wallet and the planet. And flowing from decluttering is prioritizing properly. This is so important. To make that juggling act easier, you absolutely have to get comfortable saying no.
That's the hard part for a lot of people.
It is, but you simply can't do everything. You can, however, choose what's most important. Think about the Eisenhower matrix, that simple grid. Urgent important.
Yeah, do, schedule, delegate, delete.
Exactly. It forces you to be clear about where your limited time and energy should actually go. Stop just reacting. Focus on the high impact stuff, things that serve your goals, make you happy, or use your unique talents, your zone of genius, and consciously deprioritize or delegate the things that just drain you, don't align, or someone else could do.
That idea of deprioritizing, of actively choosing not to do things, that really shifts the mindset. And it leads right into something that feels, like you said, counterintuitive, maybe even selfish sometimes. Setting boundaries. Saying no, that can feel really difficult, can it? The fear of letting people down or causing conflict.
It absolutely can feel difficult, you're right. But look, healthy boundaries are non-negotiable for resilience. They're essential. If you're constantly trying to be everything to everyone, always available, you will burn out. It's inevitable. Boundaries aren't about controlling other people. They're about protecting your well-being, your time, your energy, your focus. They let you decide what comes into your life. Instead of just being swept along, you're taking charge. And we're aiming for a sweet spot with boundaries. They aren't rigid walls. They shouldn't be too tight, shutting everyone out, or too loose, letting everything flood in. They're flexible guidelines you set intentionally, depending on the situation.
So they can change.
Definitely. It's an ongoing process. Sometimes you might need to stretch them a bit, other times tighten them up. It's adaptable. Let's break down some types. First, mental boundaries. This is about directing your focus, being clear on your purpose, what you're actually responsible for, cutting out distractions, practicing mindfulness to be present. Like, say a colleague wants something unrealistic, like by tomorrow, when your team is swamped. A healthy boundary might be saying, look, to ensure quality and avoid burnout, we need more time. We can deliver that in 3 weeks.
Instead of just saying yes and scrambling.
Exactly. Then you have energy boundaries.
Yeah.
This is about recharging, listening to your body's rhythms, your circadian rhythm, taking proper breaks, knowing when to actually stop working clock out. It stops you running on empty all the time. Next, time boundaries, making conscious choices about where your attention goes, setting goals, blocking out time in your schedule, killing distractions, and again, critically, saying no when needed. Focus on one thing at a time, multitasking. Usually less effective, more stressful. It just splits your focus.
Yeah, I find that too.
And finally, conversational boundaries. This is about choosing what you share, feeling comfortable, being mindful of your emotions, your energy in conversations, leading with compassion, especially when difficult conversations are needed. Sometimes it's about listening more than talking, but also knowing what topics you're okay discussing and which you're not. Now, about that fear of conflict. It's real. Some people might react badly when you start setting boundaries, especially, let's be honest, people who are benefiting from your lack of them.
Oof. Yeah.
But framing it internally is key. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It's actually saying yes to your own health, your own needs. You know Brené Brown's take on this.
Remind me.
She says, daring to set boundaries is about the courage to love ourselves, even if we risk disappointing others. We can't base our own worthiness on others' approval. Only when we believe deep down that we are enough can we say enough.
Wow, that's powerful.
Enough. Isn't it? So to make them stick, be flexible, experiment, practice, give yourself grace and time. It's a skill you develop.
It really becomes clear how interconnected all this is. Habits, planning, decluttering, prioritizing, setting boundaries. They aren't separate tactics. They're all parts of a bigger toolkit for, well, everything in life. It feels like a truly holistic way to build a simpler, maybe more meaningful life.
Exactly right. It applies everywhere. Let's just quickly run through some examples. Think work-life integration. This means blocking out time for focused, deep work, really unplugging on weekends, scheduling actual vacations. Treat rest like part of the job, not an afterthought.
Like an athlete needs recovery time.
Precisely. For health and fitness, use those inclinations we talked about. If you hate the gym, don't go. Find something you enjoy. Use balance like the 80-20 rule for eating maybe. Yeah. And schedule workouts like important appointments, non-negotiable. Finances, same principles. Consistent planning with a budget. Automating savings. Setting clear, measurable goals. Checking in regularly.
Making it a routine.
Making it a routine. And relationships too. Be proactive. Plan outings. Put date nights on the calendar. Send invites. Redefine socializing. Maybe it's running errands together or working out together. Yeah. Not just big, elaborate plans. And, comprehensive systems like David Allen's Getting Things Done, GTD, they really bring a lot of this together. GTD isn't just a to-do list app. It's a whole workflow, capturing everything that has your attention, clarifying the very next physical action you need to take, organizing it all. And crucially, that weekly review. That's where you look at everything, make sure it's current, build trust in your system so your brain can finally relax knowing things are handled. It stops the nagging.
Creates that trusted framework. So, wrapping this up, the core idea isn't about following some rigid, perfect organizational code. It's not about that at all. It's more about embracing this flexible set of principles, habits, simplifying, prioritizing boundaries to make life genuinely simpler, to seriously reduce stress and just feel better, more balanced across the board. It really is a journey, isn't it? Intentional choices, self-compassion along the way.
Perfectly put. By bringing these habits, routines, and boundaries into your life, you can shift from that frantic juggling act to something more like a deliberate, maybe even graceful dance. It frees up so much mental and emotional energy, so you can actually focus on what matters most to you and live a life that feels more meaningful, more contented. So as you think about simplifying your own life, maybe consider this. What's just one small habit or maybe one boundary that you could try introducing this week? Something that might give you back just a little bit of time or energy or peace of mind. And just imagine, how could that one tiny shift start to ripple outwards, creating a calmer, more fulfilling life for you?